Hello everyone. In this video, we will try to see how to display the some of the record which is having the latitude or longitude defined in the dynamics, those records as a points onto the map. So to do that, as I have mentioned in the last video, we have added the new button, command button on the field service app under the asset or customer assets main grid. So on the click of this one, it opens the HTML web resource file into the new browser, and then it adds the some controls as we have added in the previous video, in the last video, the different type of map style, then pitch control and zoom controls. So now in this video, we will try to show some of the items of the asset on this map in this location, some of the location point here. So to do that, what I have done is already I have configured few of the asset customer assets record which is having the latitude and longitude. So if you open one of the record here, so on the form on the customer asset, we are having the location and which is having the latitude and longitude. So this is the random value I have chosen on to define the some locations of the particular Bangalore city. So it will display some of the records. So currently I have configured few of records. To do that, if I'll filter these assets which is having the latitude or longitude defined, then I can see latitude contains data. If you see, then how many records so we are having 11 records. So these 11 records I have added the latitude and longitude. Okay, so you can see, so for these records I have latitude and longitude defined. So these 11 records of the customer asset, we will try to display them on the map here on this map. So to do that, we have to create the retrieve query, right? We have to retrieve the multiple records of this one of the customer access. To do that, I have logged into the XRM toolbox with my ID here on this environment, and then I'm going to use this database REST builder, this tool in this XRM toolbox, and going to create the new request here. So you can add the new collection and then create the new request, and this request type I'm going to do as a retrieve multiple, and on the which table I'm going to use the customer asset. This is the table I'm going to retrieve, and out of those on those table records there are different fields, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the properties of this field, example the name, then we can have the locations, and then the account details. These things I can include in my column, in the column of my retrieve, right? So I'm going to include a few columns. So example, first name, then I will include the account, then I will include the latitude, then longitude. So let's take for these four different fields to be included in this one, and here I'm going to filter it, and the filter condition I'm going to give is similar to what I have just now filtered, which is nothing but the all the asset which is having the latitude and longitude defined. So going to add this into the condition. So latitude contains data, and then it will be longitude contains data. So this will be the my condition, and also I can order it by the name column. Obviously the results will be by the name column. So this is it. So this query I'm going to build, but this will be I will not be using the other type one. I'm going to use the web API. So this is what it will look like. So I will have the web API calls on the retrieve multiple records, this method, and then here it will pass the query, and then on the success result I will have the results variable, and from this result I have to loop it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create this call into one of the function in the JavaScript. So I'm going to open the JavaScript file which is loading in the web resource. So when we click, this HTML file is getting loaded here, right? On the click of this dnlb show map, it is loading this HTML web resource. So below that there is a JavaScript. This is the JavaScript we have developed from the previous videos. So on that one I'm going to add the new function which will load this asset. So first of all we need to call this retrieve multiple on the customer asset. So for that, already I have built this query expression, fetch XML expression, which is loading here. So this is the fetch expression which I have built. So I'm going to include into the function here. So let's add it. So below here, this when this load map is completed, below that I'm going to add the new function where add resources. Okay, and it will be the function. Okay, and first of all, it will be the fetch XML I'm going to use, and this is the fetch XML I have created. I'll copy this. Okay, so inside this fetch XML, this is the fetch XML on the entity customer asset. It is created on. Then there's account name, latitude, longitude, and there's a condition which is nothing but the latitude and longitude not null. So this is the very simple fetch XML. On this fetch XML, we have to retrieve it. So for that, we are having the how to retrieve it. Since this is the JavaScript file, right, and this is loading under this HTML view resource, and this HTML view resource is is loading from this window. So obviously, the parent of this HTML view resource is this one. So we can use the parent properties to retrieve the icons here into the next window. If the parents are not defined, then it will not load. So obviously we have to use the xrem here. So this xrem we cannot get until the parent we cannot use, because it will not be directly available. So it is the new tab, right? So for that, I'm going to add the parent dot xrem dot web api dot, and this is the method retrieve multiple records. Going to add it, and this is on which entity? So it is on customer asset entity, right? So I'll copy the name of this entity table. And what is the fetch XML? So this is the fetch XML we have defined. When's the retrieve? So this is nothing but the promise kind of call. So when the call has been retrieve has been done successfully, then we can have the either success or failure. So we can use the then, and then we can have the function for the success, and then we can have the function for the error. Okay, in the success we'll have the results. So I'm going to have the results. So let me take it down here. This is the result success call, and inside the success I will have the result coming, and inside the error I will have the error message coming. So I'll just log the error message what we will get. So console dot error, and then error dot message. Okay, and inside the success result, so obviously we have to see we will use the similar method how it is done. So inside the results we'll have to loop through that, and then we get the properties, what are the fields we have retrieved, right, and then we have to store into the variables. So here first I'm going to console log, just write log how many records we have retrieved. So results dot entities dot length, these are the this will be the total records. Okay, and for the each record, so for where I equals to 0, I is less than results dot entities dot length, and I plus plus, for each record we will loop, and then we'll define the we'll take out the variable what we are getting from here. So example name, it equals to the results dot entities of I, and then dot mstin underscore name. This is the name, right? This is the field name. So we'll take this field name, then we can have the latitude, which is nothing but results dot entities of I dot, this is the latitude field name, schema name. Then where longitude results dot entities, and then this is the longitude. As of now, I'm just taking these three variables. Once it is defined using these properties, we will create the feature. So what it will happen is in the map, we have to display these points there, right? So the points are nothing but one of the feature on the atlas map. So we are going to create the object of that one. So let's add it, where feature equals to new atlas dot data. This is the data feature, so going to add the data feature, and this is the new point type of feature. So new atlas atlas dot data dot point, and in the point we will have the locations of the longitude and latitude. So the longitude and latitude of each what asset we have retrieved, we have to set it. So going to add the longitude and the latitude. So what we have retrieved, the longitude of the asset here, so that will be the longitude and latitude we have defined here. Along with that, we can set the few properties. Example, the asset name, something like that. You want to set some properties, that is the name. Then if you want to say the longitude, asset longitude, something like that, asset longitude, and that is the longitude. Then asset latitude, that is latitude. Okay, something like that. So these when you add this kind of process, not only I'm saying not only this one this properties, when sometimes you want to display the lot of details of that particular asset, right, particular point, like when you hover it, when you click it, when you are moving mouse on that, something on that one, you want to use those properties to some conditions. So those things you have to include inside this feature and as a properties here, so you can add it. And when you add this property, you can access it when these are added to the map. Okay, so this is how it will be looking like. So I'm just using three properties here of this feature. Once this feature is added, we need to include this feature into the data source. So now what is data source? So the map is currently empty, it is not having any data to point. So to point any data into the map on the atlas, we have to create the data source. So is nothing but collections of the points it has to represent on the map. So for that, I'm going to create one variable here when the map is ready, and one variable in the global variable list below this one bounding box, where and calling data source. Okay, and this data source we will define when the map is ready. So here, when the map is ready, this event we have function we have created, I mean this piece of code we have created from the previous video. Below this code, inside the same ready event, below this zoom control code, I'm going to add the define the data source equals to the new atlas dot source dot data source, and this data source we need to include on the map. So map we can have the multiple data source, so that is why we can have the sources dot add, and this is the data source. So now data source has been added to the map, this data source, and on this data source we have to add it. So to add this one, we have to uh, call the I'm going to create another function which will add this data source here. So below this add resource, I'm going to create the new function where show assets on map. Okay, this function, it will actually display the data source, so it will take the feature as a object and try to add it. So data source dot add, it will add that feature into the data source. So now when this will add it automatically, since we created the feature with the point this one, right, so this will be automatically added to the data source, and along with that we can access these properties also from this data source. And once it is added, now we have to show it on the map. So to show the assets on the map, we can have the different type of layers to represent the data this point onto the map. So for that, one of the popular different, you can see this is the different type of layers supported by the Azure map. One is the bubble, symbol, line, polygon. So I'll share this link in the description box, you can refer this one where the different type of layers and examples are provided. So using this one, you can represent show them. Here I'm going to use the okay to show this assets on the map. So as I mentioned, there is a different type of layer. So here I'm going to use the bubble layer. So let's get the bubble layer object here. So add where bubble layer, and it will be new atlas dot layer dot bubble layer. Okay, and inside the bubble layer, so here we have to define on which data source we are going to create the bubble layer. So we are going to create this on this data source, right? So you can have as we can have the different data source on the map, as we have added here, right, in the here. So we have different data source we can add. So on which data source we are going to show the bubble layer. So this data source we have to define. So data source, we can set the null, and then we can have to define the properties. So like how you want to represent the bubble layer on this one. So like what are the different properties you want to set on the bubble layer? Example, the color of the bubble, how you want to display. So I'm going to set it as a green. Then the radius, the size of the bubble on the map, so I'm going to say 10 pixel. Then we have the we call it the stroke color, like how you want to the circle it will be drawn, right? So which type of stroke color you want to set it. So I'm going to set this as a red. Then a stroke width, like how many what is the width of the circle it will be drawn, so it is called the stroke width. So I'm going to set 0 0.5 pixel. Then if you want to display the circle as a blur, so you can set it as a blur, so like example 0 0.2, something like that. So this, like these few properties you have to define. And this bubble layer we have to include as one of the layer on the map. So let's add it. So here map dot layers dot add, and that will be the bubble layer. So like this we have added. So now this function we have to call for each of the assets what we have. So here for each here record, so I'm going to call this one using the passing the feature here. Okay, so let's save it. So once it is saved, I'm going to upload this into the data source. Let's check it here. This is the web resource. I'll browse it, save, and publish. And I think one more mistake I did. I didn't call this function. So let me call this add resource function when the map is ready, right? So here I'm going to call it when the map control is ready. So I'm going to call this. Okay, so my mistake. So we have to call it when it is called, then it will create the fetch XML is defined, which will retrieve the customer asset. For each customer asset, we are going to create the feature, and the feature is having the point, and the point is having some properties, and there is a show map, also show asset on the map function, which passes the each feature. And for that one we use the bubble layer to represent the each point on the map using these properties: color as green, radius as 10, and this one, and this it is added to the map layer. So this is the pretty simple. So I'm going to update this again, save this again, going to publish this again, and I will refresh this. Now you can see the bubble layers what we have created for the different point, it is now showing on the map. So I hope this video was useful to you, and the code which is developed in this video till now, it will be available in the GitHub link provided in the description box. You can download from there for your reference. And thank you for watching this video, guys.